Good afternoon, class. Welcome to History 223M, the history of medieval Europe. This class is going to take a look at one of the more interesting, and I think, periods of world history. It's a transitional period, and that makes it very important. Certainly in this country, we trace our kind of political and cultural, to a certain degree, origins back to antiquity. How many of us had to learn about ancient Rome and ancient Greece because this is where democracy started. This is where, the underpinnings of the U.S. political system got their start, and then, some bad stuff happened, and then they came over here and we established democracy here in the United States. That's kind of true. There's some truth in that. But the big missing part there is that the heritage of the classical world that we pay homage to in our Constitution, in the in our architecture, in our food, in our language, we don't get that without the medieval period. So we're looking at this period where things transition over, where they translate over, and where some other influences that don't usually get the same credit as the classical world does get mixed into what becomes kind of early modern and modern Western civilization. So this is a period that's frequently misunderstood. Again, we'll get into discussions of whether or not this was truly a dark age, which is an older way of looking at this period, where after Rome fell, all was kind of darkness and crappiness until the Renaissance and things kind of kick back up again. Again, I think that's another shortchanging of this period. So, again, this is an online course. We're going to run the class through the Blackboard site, which you can get through bb.dc.edu. Of course, if you're watching this video, you've found that site. So, just as far as how the site is organized, there's going to be a Lectures and Assignments tab on the left-hand side. That's your main go-to button. All the units are going to be posted there. All the content that you need there, and links to the discussion boards. You can also go through the discussion board tab if you want to go that way. Again, we obviously don't have an in-person section of this. I don't really have planned any kind of video conference type thing. If there's enough demand for that, we can set that up, but that's not currently in the part of my plan so far. So, to have any kind of sense of community in this, any kind of sense of we are in a class together, those discussion boards are going to play a really critical role. So in this video, I just wanted to walk you through the course syllabus. We'll talk about what you need, how you're going to be graded, what my expectations are, and how to get this thing rolling. So first and foremost, textbooks. Your main text is this guy right here, Medieval Europe, A Short History by Judith M. Bennett. You need this right away. We hit the ground running, so get that as soon as possible. That is your primary text. There's a source book that goes with that, Medieval Europe, A Short Source Book. We'll have a good amount of readings from there, things that'll really kind of fill in the background of your reading out of the Bennett book. And we're also going to be looking at a literary work from the period, the Poem of the Cid. This is a Spanish epic poem. And I know you hear poetry and your soul cringes a little bit, with some reason. I'm not going to pretend that it's the most rollicking read, but I think it's a real fascinating look inside of one of the most definitive institutions of the medieval period, knighthood. It is the story about a knight doing stuff that other knights during that period looked at and approved of. This is how a knight should be. And I think that's very different from kind of the version of the knight that gets kind of portrayed in history. The Cid's a violent man, he's a greedy man. The author of that poem wouldn't necessarily wouldn't use those words to describe him, but I think if you read between the lines a little bit, it's the story of a guy that goes and steals things for a living until he gets rich enough that people need to pay attention to him. So again, I think that should be interesting. Your paper is going to be largely based off this book. You're going to compare it to a fourth book Chivalry and Violence in Medieval Europe by Richard W. Cooper. I don't have a copy of that right now, so I can't wave that one in front of the camera. I'm still getting a review copy for that. Again, that one could be a little hard to find. There should be plenty of used copies, however, and those used copies should be much, much cheaper than the new copies. So buy used if you can. Get it out of a library if that's possible. That's even better. That way you don't have to spend money on it. So your paper is largely going to be taking the Sid book, looking at how it compares to sections of the Cooper book. I'll speak a little. There'll be another video about the paper a little bit later on. But you'll have basically, a choice between different kind of tacks to take different angles to analyze the two books together. And of course, you can bring in sources from your other reading on there as well. So as far as how I'm going to grade you, 40% of your grade is going to come out of your critical analysis paper. That's a 4 to 7 page paper. Again, that I just discussed. So that's almost half your grade right there. Again, history is a reading and writing medium. Your ability to recall kind of facts about history, at the drop of a hat, or on command, doesn't interest me that much. If anyone has a gun pointed at you and saying, who won the Battle of Litchfield, you've got bigger problems other than not knowing who won the Battle of Litchfield. So the paper is a way for you to express your ability to analyze and to think, and to convey those your thoughts in concise and clear written form. That's going to be a skill that is way, way, way more useful to you in your careers after this than really any of the facts you will learn in this class. Again, I think that you're a good person, you're a good citizen for learning this stuff. I'm not going to pretend that it's going to make you better nurses or better teachers or whatever you go on to be after this. But again, so I think enriching your education is important. So, paper's worth the most. Midterm and final worth 20%. Really, everything else is worth 20%. Midterm and final 20. Participation on the discussion forums 20%, and unit writing assignments or any quizzes that I assign also going to be 20%. There is a short evaluation at the end of each unit, just to kind of prove that you're up on the reading, to give me something to look at and grade you on, other than just the one paper. So again, short questions, paragraph or 2, paragraph or 3, for those. Again, don't go crazy on that. If you find yourself having to do research outside of the books to answer these questions, you're probably doing something wrong. All the answers should be right there in the reading. If you're not getting that, ask in the discussion forum. One, you're probably not the only one, and two, it's much safer to do that, because that brings us to our next point on the syllabus: academic honesty and plagiarism. Every time I've taught one of these courses, I've probably failed at least 2 students for academic honesty reasons. Please, 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 please let this class be the exception to that rule. I don't enjoy doing that. It's not good for you guys, obviously. But academic dishonesty cuts right to the core of what colleges do. If you're not here putting forth an honest effort to do your work, an honest effort to learn, you're cheating yourself, you're cheating the system, and that would be punished in the strictest ways imaginable. Again, so if you're quoting something word for word, you're probably doing it wrong. If you're not citing, the information that you're getting, you're probably doing something wrong there too. You don't have to worry too much about citing your sources for those weekly writing assignments. If it comes out of the chapter in the book that you just read, I don't need to know that. But for your paper, absolutely cite the information that you're getting in some kind of systematic way. Again, I imagine that a lot of you are nursing majors. APA format's probably what you're most familiar with. If anyone out there knows MLA or even better Chicago, cite your information there. But again, there must be some kind of formal citation process for your papers, and not preferably, for your exams as well. If any of you are on campus or nearby campus and need any kind of help, the Learning Assistance Center, Learning Resource Center, is available. Again, they're great people over there. I've met them, wonderful folk. more than happy to help you out. While you're taking this course, again, I've already kind of mentioned, course objectives, pretty self-explanatory. Again, big focus on kind of connecting, understanding the merits of the medieval period for their own worth. I use the term Middle Ages here and there in the syllabus. Even that I think is kind of cheating. It's more than just a bit of connective tissue between the medieval and the modern. Between the classical and the modern. There's a process at work during this period that it adds value, it adds ingredients to the to Western culture. Right, and then what follows after that is just a breakdown of what we're doing each day. Again, it is pretty much a chapter a day, plus some extra readings. That's a lot. We move fast. These summer courses are very compressed in terms of time. So, do your best. Again, I wish we had more time. I wish we could really slow down and digest these a little bit more. But our schedule is what our schedule is. So, again, there are times where I kind of dial back a little bit. Again, the sections on the SID, there's not that much extra work that goes into it. It's just the reading of that. And there's a couple units here and there that the workload is a little bit lighter. Still, again, try to complete 1 unit per day. Again, that's not mandatory. I realize that you people are busy. I realize that you have lives. It's summer. You're going to want to do stuff. We got July 4th in the middle of all this. So, with the exception of the midterm, the final, and the paper, there are no hard due dates. I would encourage you not to fall too far behind. But, if you're a day or two behind the class for some parts, don't stress out too much. But really, you should have, by the time we hit the midterm, everything leading up to the midterm should be done. Ditto for the final exam. But again, if you miss a day or two, don't stress. You'll have to work that much harder to catch up. And that's that. So right away, kind of in the same unit link, you'll find a link to an icebreaker activity. You want you to design kind of your own coat of arms, your own kind of personal symbol. Of course, again, I mentioned that we think of when we think of the medieval period, we think of knights. Knights had their healdry, their personal symbols and crest painted all over their shields and in some cases their armor. Again, my ancestors, your ancestors probably didn't have anything similar. Most people are descended from peasants because most people were peasants back then. So, it's highly doubtful that you have an ancient and honorable set of arms of your very own. So go make one. And I think that's a way for me me and your classmates to learn a little bit about you. It's also a way for me to take a look at your writing abilities. Again, writing plays a big role in this. Style points count. So I'm going to really kind of tweak your language as you go through here. In the section on the paper, I will also include a writing guide that'll kind of include some do's and don'ts for how to write like a historian and like a professional student. Okay, so I think that just about does this. Again, good luck. Any questions, you can always email me, michael.diaz@dc.edu. I have a crippling addiction to my phone that rarely leaves my side. So usually I'm pretty fast about getting back to you with emails. Any questions about the content of the class, I would prefer you ask those on the discussion board. But if it's anything that you want to discuss privately, if there's any other needs or accommodations I can make for anyone, just please feel free to email me. All right, good luck, and I'll see you throughout the course.